chapter. So I welcome all of you, dear devotees, Matajis and Prabhujis, to today's class. This is the third part, and perhaps it shall be the concluding part of our session of chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. So before we commence today's class, let us pray to Shri Shri Radha Govindji. Anybody would like to say prayers? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji, please.
Okay. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Satyanna Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadarmahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadagamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadbhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Satyana Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vidamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Satyanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So thank you for the prayers. So we have covered up to this part how a person who is in mode of goodness, the actions are pious, but actions are over-ambitious, and he is always anxious to acquire more and more in mode of passion, and their actions in mode of passion are foolish. So these pictorial, these are two activities we mentioned about being charitable to a needy person. This is a mode of goodness, and helping a person who is slightly handicapped, that is also in mode of goodness. Then the person in mode of passion, he is just overloaded with work, his back is bent, and always willing to earn more and more, and to satisfy his own senses, and so much of sense gratification that he is focused to his family. He becomes family-centric and wants to have more and more opulences, but doesn't derive any kind of happiness, no chance of liberation, goes back to the earthly planet only. So, and this is a crazy person you can see on the screen. He is always mad, indolent, and sleepy, intoxicated, distressed, miserable, and he doesn't know what the aim of life is. So he keeps on doing activities which are went in our scriptures, and not even prescribed as per the Varna Ashrama. So he ultimately goes down to hellish planets or takes birth as animals. So this was the fate. This we mentioned how these modes act. But remember, these first very important thing, that all these modes are material. One has to rise, if transcend these modes, or rise above these three modes if he wants some spiritual advancement in life, because these modes are binding, and they are only related to material world only. So one has to rise to the Vishnu Tattva, or the Sattvic Tattva, or the Shuddha Tattva, that is the mode of above the mode of goodness. So then we read about these things, how things are happening. This was a pictorial description of. So now we will continue from this place. Yes, Riya Mataji, please continue from this point.
Okay. Animals do not understand this under the spell of all the illusionary energy. Maya. Slaughtering poor animals is ache and a mode of ignorance. The ignorant person does not know that his life is insecure in the hands of the animal killed. The same animal in future will get a body suitable to kill him. That is the law of the nature. In human society, if one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of the state. The ignorant cannot perceive that their entire existence is controlled by the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is the father of every living creature. Even if one kills an ant, he has to pay for it, since the Lord cannot tolerate this. Indulgence in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things to feed upon. Hare
So,
Krishna.
thank you, Mataji. So, animal killing, it is a feature of mode of ignorance because we know that Lord has created all those 8400,000 species, and Lord is present in each heart of each such living entity in the form of Paramatma, and the individual also has an individual soul. So, if we are killing an animal, even an ant or an animal for our taste of tongue, then we are killing a creation of Lord Krishna. And the law, we know the land of law is that if somebody commits a offense, even a stealing or a cheating or any other kind of violence or even killing, then he has to be punished by the law, by the magistrate or a court of law. And so that is the law. And the similar, there is a law of nature also. Law of nature is that it wants to protect its all inhabitants securely. Are given chance to live their complete span of life. So, but if somebody kills such an animal, then it becomes an offense, and any action has got reaction, we know. So as per the law of nature, one has to be punished for killing animals. Now, killing of animals, how does it happen? Because the same animal takes a suitable form so that he can kill the person who killed him in this life, in the next life. So one does not realize this thing that God is the supreme controller and supreme owner and creator of every living entity. Ultimately, so that person gets punished by the law of nature. Yes, Mataji.
Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of cows is most heinous. Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagad Dityaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and the world. Cows and the Brahmanas must be protected. Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education. Cows are a symbol of the most valuable food. Lack of spiritual knowledge among humans is the cause of neglect for both. Presently, prevalent modes in society are those of passion and ignorance. Global awareness on Krishna consciousness is the only savior. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So now this emphasis is given on the killing of cows here. Cows are considered to be the most pious out of all animals. So killing of cow is, and we know that each and everything that cow produces, urine of the cow, droppings, or even milk, everything is used and useful for human life. And Lord Srila Prabhupada has given peace formula that if one owns a piece of land and has a cow, he can live very peacefully. So cow is considered to be one of the mothers also. We know that there are five mothers, and out of those five mothers, cow is one mother, Gau Mata, we call her. So killing of cow is one of the most heinous crime which is to be done. And killing of Brahmana is also considered to be a very, very heinous. When we do Tulsi Parikrama, then we pray that even Mother Tulsi can forgive our offense of killing a Brahmana. So it is considered to be the highest kind of crime. So the purpose here saying is that one should not kill, one should always protect cow, never kill it, and also never always protect Brahmanas, because the role of, if we remember the role of Brahmanas as per the Varna Ashrama, then the Patan, Ved Vidya, and dispersal of knowledge and motivating people to come in the devotional service. That is the basic role of Brahmana. So these both category of people, living entities, must be protected. But why people kill them? Because I just now mentioned that they don't have possess knowledge. They are suffering from ignorance or avidya. So how one can attain this knowledge? That is through the falling in the Krishna consciousness only, because that is the ultimate source of happiness. It gives you tremendous happiness, tremendous satisfaction, and leads the living entity to the right direction, where he can realize the real aim of a purpose of life. So yes, Mataji, please continue.
Sattvad sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha eva cha pramada moho tamaso bhavato jnanam eva cha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion.
So
Hare
we,
Krishna.
thank you, Mate. So we know that what is the outcome of person who isn't acting in a different mode of person who in a mode of goodness, he develops knowledge. And what is that knowledge? Knowledge is that everything belongs to Krishna. I should consume only my share and should not hoard or should not collect more than it is necessary for me. And also that those other factors, that I am part and parcel of Lord. Now, at that time, eternal servitor of Lord, and Lord is supreme. He is the supreme controller, owner, and maintainer of everything. So this is the knowledge. But a person in mode of ignorance, he is always hankering for sense gratification, for material comfort and objects, and he works very hard, forgetting. Sometimes only he does some charitable work, but that is not really enough for him. And for the realizing the basic purpose of life or aim of life. But the ignorant person who is in mode of ignorance, he has no knowledge, he is always mad, he is after crazy, whimsical, does not know the rules and regulations of his scriptures, does not follow any regulative principles, so he is in a state of illusion. Yes, Mataji, this one also, then somebody else may like to.
When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, like animals cannot see things clearly. Due to want of education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. Education is developed for developing the mode of goodness in general is very important. Such education will make people sober, knowledgeable of things as they are, making them happy and prosperous. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So the key thing here is that how this knowledge can be obtained. The knowledge which we talked about in mode of goodness, knowledge can be had only when one has education. And what Krishna Consciousness Society is doing, ISKCON is doing, is imparting education, this basic education which in colleges or schools, what we are taught material education, how to become opulent, how to become rich, how to attain degrees, and how to seek good employment, ultimately earn a lot of money and be happy. But that happiness is not real. This real education, of which is the spiritual education, is being given by ISKCON only. So we have to understand, and the education cannot be attained by an individual on his own. And spiritual master is essential. A spiritual master who is Tattvadarshi, who has seen the truth, who knows the truth, who has learned it from in a disciplic succession from his gurus or his acharyas, he is only authorized person who can transmit us the real knowledge. So anybody else would like to read henceforth? Pankaj Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, may I?
Yes, Mataji, please continue. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. One has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. In the mode of passion, one's profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to make plans or schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad. Due to distress, they take to of intoxication, sinking further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark.
Thank you, Mataji. So now we know that we talked about knowledge, how to acquire the knowledge, and knowledge can be taken up only when one has education. Now, everybody, we know everybody is not taking to Krishna consciousness. Everybody is not in ISKCON. So what happens? But those of people, those who are in ISKCON or who are under, say, some kind of program like this, Bhagavad Gita 18 days or maybe level 2, level 3, even some of them take Krishna consciousness seriously, then they can work as a center, epicenter of happiness and prosperity in the society. Everybody will see that such person is a devotee of Krishna, Krishna, and is working in the principles of ISKCON, laid down principle, following the rules, regulations, and also doing devotional service of Krishna. Then others try to emulate or copy such or imitate such a person. So even if a small percentage of people take up Krishna consciousness, they can act as center for further propagation of Krishna consciousness. So this is how this education can spread and will have peace and prosperity all over. And we know that there is misery, distress in mode of ignorance and passion that will not be there. So this is how we can help others, even if we follow those principles and others follow us. Yes, Mataji, Srila Mataji.
Even if some of them are happy and prosperous in Krishna consciousness, peace and prosperity is ensured all over the world. If the world is oriented towards the modes of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy with unlimited hankering for sense enjoyment, even with money and facilities for sense gratification. There is no happiness and peace. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So we have already seen that a person in ignorance is never happy. He is always in a miserable condition, intoxicated, aimless, and indolent, sleeping, mad, and lethargic. Mode of passion, his hankering and sense gratification do not provide him peace and happiness. He always is running after endeavor, more and more, more and more endeavor, more and more physical comfort objects. Ultimately, happiness evades him and he does not. So the happiness, real happiness, lies in Krishna consciousness only. So this is emphasized in this paragraph, and this is a graphic representation. Yes, Mataji. Result of actions in the modes.
Result of action in the modes.
Yeah.
1. Goodness.
From goodness.
From goodness, real knowledge develops. Krishna consciousness helps society to develop mode of goodness. People can see things as they are. They can be in happiness, peace, and prosperity. Number 2, passion. From passion, greed develops. Greedy and always hankering for sense gratification without any limits. Neither happiness nor peace of mind. Number 3, ignorance. From ignorance develops illusion, madness, and foolishness. No knowledge, irresponsible, cannot see things as they are. Being distressed, take shelter of intoxication.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is a graphic representation of what actions lead to the result of action in different modes. So once word has been used here repeatedly in all the three specifications, and this is that seeing things as they are. Mataji, can you elaborate upon this word, this phrase, seeing things as they are?
Prabhuji?
Yeah, Mataji. A person in knowledge sees things as they are. A person
Prabhuji.
in passion
Prabhuji,
does
for
not
example,
see. Yeah,
for,
please.
for example, uh, seeing things as they are, it means that, for example, if we are seeing ourselves or other person as only body, but actually the basic working thing behind all body is the soul. So if the things as they are, it means just seeing body as well.
Thank you much. It's a very nice explanation. So the person does not see a person by his bodily features, infirmity, disease, or physical structure, complexion, or height or weight, but he sees them in them soul as well as presence of super soul in them. And so this is about a person. Whatever the material nature, he sees that all this creation belongs to Krishna. And this wealth is of Krishna. This my house is that of Krishna. It is not mine house. Krishna has given me this house to provide a certain physical degree of physical comfort so that I can render devotional service to Krishna. He sees that everything belongs to Krishna. I am just Krishna has, out of his mercy, given me an opportunity to use to the extent I need it. I need not hold it or store it more than it is required. So this is the meaning of, so this applies to all things which person is doing, seeing things as they are. That means seeing that we are eternal servant of Lord. We are not the proprietor. We are not the owner. God is the owner. In fact, we are just a part user, and God has given us Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. That Ishavasya principle means that each God has allotted each living entity its share or a quota. So, but what is happening? Even the animals realize it. Now, just I'll give you an analogy in this case. Say there is a cart carrying a bag of rice or some grains, and it gets some kind of puncture or a spill of grains on the road is happening. What the birds will do and what a human will do? Anybody? What the birds, if they find that there are some grains spread over the road, the birds reaction of birds, and if a reaction of a person, what shall be the difference between the two?
Birds will take only its share, but the human beings will take more than what is necessary for him.
Yeah, the man will try to collect all whatever has fallen on the ground and take it home. He may not need it, but he will like to store it. The birds will consume their only share, a small share only take in their beak. They will pick up one or two grain and fly away. They don't store because they know God has given everything to them. Yes, Sheila Mataji.
उद्धर्वं गच्छन्ति सत्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसः जघन्यगुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसः. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds.
So this we have already discussed, that what is the destination of those persons who are in mode of goodness, who are in mode of passion, and who are in mode of. But one thing is very, very certain, that a person, like a person who is in mode of good ignorance, now he has got a human form after all, and the human form is very, very rare to achieve. So the person has a chance here to rise to the spiritual level, to go to the mode of goodness, from ignorance to passion, passion to goodness, and even beyond goodness to transcendental mode. But the once human life is there, it is not guaranteed that one shall remain always human being. If in a person in mode of ignorance, he can take birth in animals also. He can. So this is the biggest fear of human life. The biggest fear of human life, if somebody has to answer, is that falling down or degrading to lower form of life. That is the biggest fear of human life, because human life has, Lord has given us intelligence and mind, vivek and discrimination, which is called. And this discrimination we can use for our spiritual advancement. Others do not have this opportunity. So one has to realize the potential of being born as a human being and try to work on a spiritual platform so that he can rise above these things. Now you can see an aircraft. This represents mode of goodness. He is from rising from the, let's say, level of ground, that is mode of ignorance, then he is rising to mode of passion and ultimately flying up to the mode of goodness. Now this is the aircraft which is going down. So it has an accident, say, in the air, From mode of goodness, it is falling down to the passion, and passion to the ultimately ignorance. Yes, Mataji. According to the
According to the degree of development of the mode of goodness, the living entity can be transferred to various planets in the system. Those in the mode of goodness go to the heavenly planets in the upper planetary system, the highest of which is that is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. Everyone is highly elevated here. Prime person of this universe, Lord Brahma. Condition of life in the Brahmaloka is excellent. Those purely in the mode of passion are in the middle will go to planet Earth as a king or a rich man, but one in modes of passion mixed with ignorance can go down to hellish planets.
Thank you. So important thing we know about mode of goodness, we have already, we are clear that he goes to higher planets or spends their life in long life, has a long life. He spends life in opulences and lot of recreation, entertainment, and ultimately when the stock of good activities or actions are over, he comes back to, returns to the cycle of birth and death or earthly. But here second point is important. There's those persons who are in mode of passion. I mentioned that sometimes they do charitable work. They are in a mode of goodness. So we know that sometimes these three modes are not permanent and stationary. There is fluctuation in their modes, and they sometimes one dominates, sometimes the other tries to dominate over all the rest too. So in a mode of passion, sometimes person does some pious activities also. So he takes birth and he becomes a rich king or maybe a rich person again, so that he can continue his journey of fruitive activities from here also, and also might rise to mode of goodness. So this is important here. But the chance of liberation or going to higher planets for a person in mode of ignorance are very low. Yes, Mataji.
One on this earth in the mode of passion or ignorance cannot forcibly approach the higher planets by machine. In the mode of passion, there is also a chance of becoming mad in the next life. Those in the mode of ignorance go to regions with abominable conditions below the human level, where there are 8 million species of life, birds, beasts, reptiles, trees, etc. Tamasa indicates those who stay continuously in the mode of ignorance without rising to a higher mode with a dark future. Those in the modes of ignorance and passion can get elevated to the mode of cannot goodness through Krishna consciousness.
So the fact remains that if one is in mode of goodness, it is not very certain that he will go to good, higher planets only. He may fall down. He may fall down to mode of passion, may fall down to even mode of ignorance. Similarly, the other way around, person in ignorance can also rise to mode of passion, and from there to rise to the level of, mode of goodness and even transcendence. We know the case of Ajamila. Ajamila was in such a mode of ignorance, but he ultimately got elevation and got liberation and attained the mode of transcendence. So many other examples are there. Nal Kubera, we know, Manigriva, Nal Kubera, we know that case of, we know the case of the Haridasi, Haridas Thakur, the prostitute. She became such a pious lady and came into mode of goodness. So the chance of getting both ways, from goodness to ignorance and ignorance to goodness, both exist. But how can this happen? This can happen through Krishna consciousness only. One who becomes aware of Lord Krishna's opulences, his different kind of energies or potencies, serves Krishna under the guidance of his spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master from disciplic succession, then he has a chance to get. Now, this section tells about, now Lord Krishna has so far described many questions which Lord Arjuna had asked. Now, how one can, now these modes are material in nature, goodness, passion, or ignorance, and they are binding. They lead one to the repeated cycle of birth and death, which is basically the house ashwaswatam dukhalayam. This word of this material world is full of miseries, and it is not real, it is temporary only. So one who can transcend these three modes, goodness, passion, or rise above the three modes through the level of transcendence or sattva tattva, or purest form of transcendence, then he can get liberation from this cycle of birth and death. So how does one get transcendent from these three modes? That is a discussion of in the last section, that is 19 to 27. So yes, anybody else would like to read now? Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Please.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, please. Thank you, Prabhuji. I was waiting
Yes.
for you too. So transcending
Yes.
the three modes of nature. Now, Pankaj,
Transcend-
Prabhuji, tell us how we can move high above the mode of goodness. Yes, Prabhuji, please continue. Thank you, sir.
Nayanam gune bhavya kartaram yada drastanu spasati gunu vayascha pranam veti mad bhavam to digya chati. When one properly see that in all activity no other performer is at the work, then this mode of nature, and he know the Supreme Lord, who is a transcendental to the all this mode, he attend my spiritual nature.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Gudebhyascha param veti mad bhavam so adhigachati. The person who knows this fact that I am above three modes of material nature, Lord Krishna is saying that Nanyam Gudabhya Kartaram. God is beyond these three modes of material nature, and Krishna is the source, the controller, the owner of three modes of material nature, and the owner cannot be controlled by his subordinate. So, as his own creation, one who knows this fact, he can attain my spiritual nature. And what is the spiritual nature of Krishna? He is beyond three modes of material nature. So, person who knows this fact, just imagine, if we know that we are acting forcibly or compulsively under modes of material nature, this is not real what we are doing. This is not our own performance. They are basically material activities and the supreme, under control of Supreme Lord. So this knowledge can even transcend us above the modes of material nature. But what happens in our real life? We are always desiring, and we are doing something which we should not do. Sometimes we do realize the Antaratma or the Paramatma within our heart tells us this is not right thing to do, but still we keep on doing it. So that means we are forced by that particular mode of material nature to act compulsively or under pressure from that mode. But if we realize that these modes are under control of Krishna, I should not act under the control of these modes, then we get transcendental. This is transcendental approach, and the result is that they are not binding then. And Krishna has assured that he attains my spiritual nature. That means he becomes free from those three modes of material nature or the effects of those. Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yeah. From the bona fide spiritual master, one should understand about the spiritual position, material body, and the sense. How he is entangled in the mode of material nature, helpless. How he can, knowing the real position, transcend the mode and become the spiritual, that he modes of material nature can be transcended. Krishna is a real spiritual master of imparting the spiritual knowledge to Arjuna. Actually, the living entity is not he performer, different activity. He is he supposed to be act being situated in a particular type of body controlled by the particular mode. Such understanding fixes him in the full Krishna consciousness. One who see this as they are not influenced by the material nature.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So this is further explanation that one is compulsively or forcibly acting under a particular mode of material nature. Then his real identity or real nature is not like that. When this fact is known and that Krishna is the spiritual, now who is giving this knowledge? Krishna, Lord Krishna is giving this spiritual knowledge. But in our times, Lord Krishna is not there. His message through Arjuna has come to us in the form of spiritual Bhagavad Gita. And our spiritual master can give us, clear our doubts, and explain this knowledge to us in very simple terms so that we can also be aware that we are acting forcibly under three modes of material nature because we have assumed certain kind of body. We know the case of wow, because in earlier form of life, the person was living entity was eating indiscriminately everything, knowing that it may harm his health or his physique. But so the next time, because of this unlimited desire to eat indiscriminate food, he assumes the form of a hog or a pig, and the pig, we know that it eats everything. It doesn't discriminate with fine quality sweetmeats or even the stool of a individual. So this knowledge has to come that we are we are acting forcibly under a certain mode of material nature, and we have to rise above that mode of material nature. There may be passion or ignorance or maybe goodness, but that can come through knowledge, and the knowledge is given by two persons. Lord Krishna himself, because Krishna is not there, so our spiritual master is there. We have to follow the footsteps, serve the spiritual master, and obey his instructions. Then this knowledge can be received by us only. So this is a pictorial description. Yes, Prabhuji. Then you can see the Lord Krishna is standing there. He is the controller, and there are three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. They are controlling the living entities like puppets in their heads. We act like puppets under the hand, forcibly or compulsively. Yes, Prabhuji.
Three mode of material nature. The platform of the real knowledge. What is the platform of the real knowledge? Three mode of all material activity. The Supreme Lord is a transcendental to this mode and control all these modes. How can one transcend the mode? One can transcend by understanding this science properly, by learning from the proper source. Who is the real spiritual master? Real spiritual master is Krishna.
Yes, so this is already mentioned in the last slide, that real spiritual master who gave this knowledge for the first time is Krishna. Whether it was given to Lord, the sun god Vivaswan, many millions or billions of years ago, or now about 5,500 years ago to Arjuna. So real spiritual master is Krishna. Now, bona fide spiritual master in our times in ISKCON is also representative of Krishna. He is Tattvadarshi, as I mentioned, and he knows the truth because he had learned truth from successive disciplic succession from his gurus only, or acharyas. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Guna etan atyatram dehi deha samrudh bhavan yamma mat mrityu jara dukh kir vimatto martam asu asnute. When the ambient being is able to transcend the three mode, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and there is stress, and can enjoy the nectar even in the life.
So we can see this picture, a person handcuffed, and now when he is handcuffed by three modes of material nature, he has to act forcibly as the mode says. But when he is able to break this handcuff and free himself from three modes of material nature, then he can get freedom from the four stages, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, that is the fourth stressful condition of human life, that is birth, death, and old age and disease. Now, this is these are the essential features of human life. So one has to transcend. By transcending the three modes of material nature, one can get freedom from the cycle of birth, death, or can get freedom from the cycle of birth, death, and jara and vyadhi. Yes, Prabhuji.
One stay in the transcendental position, even in the body, in full Krishna conscious, advancing in the spiritual knowledge. He is set from the influence of the mode of nature. He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life, even in the body he possesses. After leaving the body, he will certainly go into spiritual sky. Through a devotional service in the Krishna conscious, one can get liberated from material entanglement.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So material entanglement. So thank you, Prabhuji. Now that is very clear here, that we can get this kind of liberation from this dukhalaya or shashwatam dukhalayam, or the cycle of birth and death, even in this life. We know that Ashtanga yogis, the karmis, and the jnanis, they have to have many lives, many thousand lives to achieve certain Brahmajyoti status, or attain some kind of perfection in yogic system or mystic yoga. But in devotional service, one can get liberation within this life only by attaining this knowledge and practicing Krishna consciousness. So this is a great opportunity for all the living entities to get liberation from this mortal world or material world, and rise to a spiritual world within this life span only. Whereas Ashtanga yogis or the mystic yogis or the karmis or jnanis do not have this chance, because we know that Ashtanga yogi, that those yam niyam asam, pranayam pratyahar, dhyan dharana and samadhi, those are very difficult stages. Even compliance of one or two stages will take many lives. But here in devotional service, in one life is enough to get liberation from all these things. Yes, Prabhuji, this one, thereafter, anyone else would like to read?
Arjuna Vacha, कर लिंगस्ति त्रिम गुना इतन अतो भवति प्रभु त्रिम आचार्य कत्रिम तैरत त्रिम गुना अति वर्तते. Arjuna inquired, O dear Lord, by which symptom one known who is transcendental to the three modes, who is in the behavior, and how does it transcend the mode of nature?
So these beautiful questions are being asked by Arjuna from Lord Krishna for benefit of entire human society, and especially for people like us who are Buddha, who are foolish by nature. We do not know anything which is real or which is spiritual. So questions are asked at what are the symptoms of a person who has transcended, who has risen above these three modes? How does he behave, and how does he transcend the three modes of matter? So this is the important section, most important section of this presentation. Yes, Richa and Mataji, please. Now, Krishna, Arjuna, you can see the Arjuna is asking Krishna, please tell me the symptoms, the behavior, and how the process, how one can transcend these three modes of materialism. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji.
Arjuna's questions. What are the symptoms of one who has transcended the modes? What is his behavior? How does he transcend the modes?
Now, Lord Krishna is going to reply to this most important section of this chapter, three modes of material nature. Yes, Mataji. This is the summary translation of verse number 22-25. Yes, Mataji.
The blessed Lord said, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, nor longs for them when they disappear, who is seated like one unconcerned, being situated beyond these material reactions of the modes of nature, who remains firm, knowing that the modes alone are active, who regards alike pleasure and pain, and looks on a clod, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is wise, and holds praise and blame to be the same, who is unchanged in honor and dishonor, who treats friends and foe alike, who has abandoned all fruitive undertakings. Such a man is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
Thank you, Mati. So these are perhaps 10 qualities, symptoms of a person who has transcended the mode of material nature. That is either one. Maybe he might have been in ignorance, or maybe passion, or in goodness. Of course, the gradual process is rising from ignorance to passion and passion to goodness. So one who has transcended the mode of goodness and risen to the level of sattva state or Vishnu Tattva state or the pure transcendental state, what are her symptoms, or how can one identify? So these are the symptoms which Lord has, that does not hit illumination. That means he loves knowledge. He wants to gain more and more knowledge. Attachment and delusion when they are present. He is not affected by any kind of, he is not attached to anything, or he is not deluded when that attachment, that he fails to achieve that material objects. Longs for them when they are disappearing. That is one thing. Seated like one unconcerned. That means he is equiposed in a state of equanimity. And then who remains firm, knowing that the modes alone are active. He knows that his hankering is coming because the mode of passion is dominated at time. Knowing that the modes alone are active, who regards alike pleasures, and that is the opposite contradictory situations of life, that there is pleasure and pain, there is success and failure, looks on a clod, a stone, a piece of gold with equal eye. For him, everything is equal, whether it is gold or any other thing. We know remember the case of Haridas Thakura, who gave that Brahmana initially he gave him that touchstone, and touchstone, he was so happy. So, but later he realized that if the saint has got touchstone, which was lying in a dustbin, then he must have something more precious than. So he comes back to him, and then Krishna Mahamantra is given by Haridas Thakur. And similarly, this, you will remember, there is an analogy, another story here. There was a king and there was a very poor person residing in a hut near his palace. So this king was always worried and anxious about his estate, about his people, about his opulences, about his money, wealth, and all those, about his how to expand his estate and acquire more and more land. So he was always worried. But this poor man who was residing in the hut, he was very, very happy, always contented. Whatever he used to get out of his labor, he was happy and sleeping very comfortably and taking name of Lord. So just to find out why this person is so happy, what he did, he put 9 coins of gold around his hut in the night. And the person gets up in the morning and he finds out there is a gold coin right immediately outside his door. He becomes so happy. Now, out of curiosity, he goes on looking for more and more coins. Then he finds 9 gold coins. And ultimately, he is so enchanted and so happy receiving 9. Then he thinks there might be more. So he keeps on wondering and, searching for the other gold coins. And the result is that the happiness that was there with him, he lost it completely. And he was always worried, why I don't have more, why there could be. So this kind of thing happens when one is a person from mode of goodness degrades to mode of passion. So a person who has risen above for him the gold or iron or a mud or a stone, everything are equal. He does not differentiate between them because he knows, he sees the things as they are. He knows their value and he knows that they are of no use. They are only material items. And wise and holds praise and blame to be the same. This is a very important thing. In fact, we always look for being praised by others for whatever good thing we are doing. So a person who is above transcendent the mode of goodness, he doesn't want any kinds of praise because he thinks he does everything as his duty, not for the praise or blame. And who is unchanged in honor and dishonor, treats friends and foe alike, who has abandoned all fruitive undertakings, such a man is said to have transcended. So these are the symptoms Lord had mentioned in 22-25. These are verses. Mataji, you can read this, the translations, because they are already explained in earlier slide.
Shri Bhagwan Uvaj Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshti sampravatani na nivrattani kanskati. Neither desires nor rejects illumination and attachment, is comfortable in their presence and unaffected by their absence. Udasina vad asino puner yona vichalyate gunavartana iti ivam yo patisthati nangate, equiposed on the onslaught of all material reactions, always undisturbed.
Yes. So no desire, neither rejects nor desires. He is equiposed. Yes, Mataji.
Sama dukha sukha swastha samalosta sama kanchana tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya nindatma samstuti. Neutral in reactions to the state of happiness and distress, views the most valuable commodity gold and the valueless lump of earth equally, has nothing desirable or undesirable as such. Manapam manasyos tulyas tulyo mittari pakshayo sarvambha parityagi gunatitah sa uchyate. Praise, criticism, honor, dishonor do not perturb him. Regards friends and foes alike. Abandons all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the mode of material nature and naturally gets rid of influence of the modes of material nature.
So this is, a person is equiposed, is neutral, he does not favor or disfavor anything, he is not factored praise, criticism, honor or dishonor, the opposite situations. Such a, these symptoms are being described by Lord Krishna. And we know Srila Prabhupada was such an entity, such a great personality. He had transcended the three modes of material nature. He was using the resources only for Krishna consciousness, whatever material objects he was using. He was sleeping for 2 to 3 hours, working for Krishna consciousness only, and he had serious health problems while traveling to US, and while even in US he had so many obstacles and hindrances in his process. Even he had to stand 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours waiting for a visa for visit to US. But he had so much of patience, so much of confidence in Krishna, so much of trust in Krishna that everything will go right with him. He was never affected by anything which with those opposite aspects of life. So yes, Mataji. Mom.
Yes. Macha yo vyabhicharin bhakti yogin sevate sagunan samitityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all the circumstances, at once to transcend the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Bhagavad Gita 14.26.
So now Krishna is here in this verse is describing his relationship with Brahman. Brahman effulgence, we know, is part of the effulgence which is radiating out from the transcendental body of Lord Krishna. So why now the process in spiritual advancement is very, very gradual and slow. So we saw that from ignorance to passion, passion to goodness, or directly from goodness to transcendental mode, and from transcendental one realizes the Brahman aspect of God feature. From Brahman aspect of God feature, only one can go to Bhagwan feature of Lord Krishna. So this relationship, the material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So after a living entity rising from the mode of these three modes of material nature, he does not realize Lord Krishna directly or the Bhagwan feature. He realizes this Brahman effulgence form. So this we can see in this picture here that the effulgence is radiating out from the transcendental body of Lord Krishna. So one realize from one who transcends the modes of three material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Yes, Mataji.
To detach from material activities, one should nihasanga, work for the gratification of the Supreme Lord. Nyasta karmanaha, offer the result of activities to the Supreme Lord. Prasantaha, be completely satisfied and imbibe a let-go attitude of forgiveness. Transfer consciousness from modes of material nature to Krishna. Adhere to Bhakti Yoga towards Krishna and his plenary expansions like Rama and Narayana. All are equally transcendental, knowledgeable, blissful, and eternal. Practice of Navavidha Bhakti in association of devotees. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Eating Lord's Prasadam. Enjoying the fragrance of flowers offered to the Lord. Reading Lord's scriptures and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Thank you, Mataji. So now Lord is describing the process. Earlier he described that one can transcend the three modes, how to the symptoms of a person, how to identify a person who has transcended the three modes of material nature. Now he's describing the process of attaining the transcendence. First is Neha Sangha. So that means the Sangha means association. Now we are normally associated with material people only. So when we work for their and our own sense gratification. So person has to do activities for which are favorable to Krishna, for which satisfy the senses of Krishna or which please Krishna. Second is Nyasta Karmana. Offer the results, whatever results accrue by activities, they must be offered to Supreme Lord. That is Nishkam Karma. Then Prashantaha, be completely satisfied. Whatever situation comes, one should get not disturbed or perturbed. He should remain completely satisfied. And if something happens, then let go attitude. That means let it happen. Let us forget it. That kind of forgiveness attitude. Transfer consciousness from mode of material nature to Krishna. Adhere to Bhakti Yoga, that is devotional. Now, earlier, verse number 26, we saw Lord Krishna described how to transcend the three modes of material nature and reach to the Brahman level. Now, through devotional service to Krishna, how can one reach to the level of Bhakti Yoga and realize Krishna himself? So, then all are equally transcendental, knowledgeable, blissful. Then practice of Navada Bhakti, Navvid Bhakti or Navada Bhakti, that is that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, and Atma Nivedana. So these are 9 forms of worship. They are the process of transcendental. Hare Krishna Guruji. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, then Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, then Atma Nivedan, one is missing, I don't remember one, just forgotten one. Then eating Lord's prasadam, that is also very, very important. Remnants of food offered to Lord, which are taken as prasadam, they sanctify or they purify our internal and external existence. They also do away with the sinful reactions or the sinful activities which we have performed in many, many lives. So this is the flowering, smelling the fragrance of the garlands of flowers offered to Lord Krishna, worshipping Tulsi Maharani, then eating prasadam and distributing prasadam, and lastly chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. These are the process by which one can transcend the 3 modes of material nature. Yes, Mataji, this is just a summary of Navda Bhakti or Nav Vidha of Bhakti or devotion service, and example of each one, the perfect example of each kind of Bhakti is given here in this chapter, this slide. Yes, Mataji would like to read.
Navvidha Bhakti. Navvidha Bhakti comprises the 9 ways to express devotion or develop devotion towards God. It is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vishnu Purana. They are devotional paths leading to moksha or liberation. Shravanam, listening to the names of and stories about God. Example, Parikshit Maharaj. Kirtanam, chanting or singing about God. Narad Muni. Ismaranam, remembering God throughout the day. Prahlad Maharaj. Pad Sevanam, serving God willingly. Goddess Lakshmi. Archanam, worshipping God. Prithu Maharaj. Vandanam, praising God selflessly and with total submission. Akrura. Dasyam, serving God. Hanumana. Sakhyam, developing a friendship with God. Arjuna, Sudama. Atma Nivedanam, surrendering oneself to God. Self-realization or Samadhi. Bali Maharaj.
Thank you, Mataji. So Bali Maharaj, in addition, Ambrish Maharaj also, Atmanjuna he was surrendered to, and he used all his senses in the service of Lord Krishna. These examples of each category of Navda Bhakti have to be remembered. So Pad Sevanam, that is something which I was missing here. So Shavnam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Bandhanam, and Pad Sevanam, and Dasyam, Sakhyam, and Atmanirvana. These are 9 forms of Bhakti. So this is the only formula by which one can become peaceful. So the method of transcending or the process of transcending the 3 modes, that has been described by Lord Krishna in this slide here. So yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in the previous slide, that is Navvidha Bhakti, what would be the difference between Vandanam and Atmanivedanam?
Atmanivedanam, Mataji, is a complete surrender. Complete surrender means using all sense organs in the service of Lord. Now, Ambrish Maharaj, I just now mentioned, there is a description in the scriptures at Srimad Bhagavatam that he was using his hands for washing the temple, his eyes in looking at the deity form, his hands prepare a mouth for tasting the prasadam of, then his body for touching the deity form or the archvigraha. So all kind of this is the Atmanivedan. And you said in Bandhanam.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Bandhanam is singing glory of Lord Krishna. Vandana, that in Srimad Bhagavatam, whenever there is a incarnation of Lord Krishna, praying that those prayers are Vandana, that you are Almighty God, that you have possessed all kind of opulences, that you are the maintainer, creator. When we speak these words, these are Vandana. That is what we are doing. So these, in fact, if you really ask that, Vandanam and Archanam, they are very, very close and intimately interrelated terms. Shravanam is different. Kirtanam is one is himself doing something, reciting or chanting the name. And then Smaranam, always remembering silent in your brain. And Padasevanam is a physical activity. Archanam is worshipping form. We worship God. We go before to the temple, and then we offer some kind of garland or some prasadam, and we touch the feet of lotus feet of Lord. And these are lot methods of worshipping. We offer Ganga Jal to Tulsi Ma, and we offer Diya to Tulsi Ma and God. This is all worshipping, part of worshipping. Then Dasyam, of course, is the typical example is that of Lord Hanuman, who was Dasya to Lord Rama. He had Rama in all those places. And Sakhyam is a very, very rare kind of relationship, real kind of, because nobody can be Sakhya or brother. And the other mellow relationship with Lord Bhagwan is that of Vatsalya. Even it is extremely rare thing to be in the mode of Vatsalya. So that mother being mother and father or being parental to the Lord is something very, very rare thing, which happened to in certain cases only. We know that only 2 such persons were lucky enough. And Atmanivedana is that right from the soul and mind and senses, everything devoted to Lord Krishna. This is Atmanivedana. Is it clear, Mataji? Am I able to explain?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
So yes, this slide is again pictorial description of Lord Krishna's third answer. What is the process of method of transcending the 3 modes of material nature? Yes, Mataji.
Lord Krishna answers third question, method of transcending. How to transcend the modes? One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstance, at once transcend the modes of material nature. Thus comes to the level of Brahman.
So this is a process, gradual process, performing loving devotional service of Krishna, always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna, and never failing to do devotional service to Krishna. That is how one can transcend the mode of material nature. And this slide, the process is described here in this slide. So this is here. Riya Mataji would like to read the last part of it.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Brahmano hi pratishta ham mrit sha vayasya cha shasvatsya cha dharmasya sukhasya kanti kasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Bhagavad Gita 14.27. Hare
So
Krishna.
this is the concluding remark of Krishna. He is proving that those Brahmavadi or Mayavadis, they do not know that for them the ultimate goal is merging into the Brahman effulgence. They think that it is the ultimate. There is nothing beyond Brahman effulgence. But Lord Krishna is asserting very clearly here that this effulgence is coming from me, and that I am the basis of that. That effulgence is coming from me, my transcendental body. And what Mayavadis know? Mayavadis know just that Brahman effulgence is immortal, it is imperishable, and it is eternal. But that is not the real position. The real position is that there is Bhagwan feature beyond Brahman reflect. And in between, of course, Paramatma feature is there, which yogis can realize, or Ashtanga yogi can realize. So this is concluding remark. Now, we have seen this one. That this effulgence is coming from Lord Krishna, the source which is not visible. In this case of bulb, we can see only the light. So this is what dilutes the Mayavadis or Brahmavadis. Yes, Mataji. We'll just read these paragraphs very quickly because there is nothing to explain. Everything is being summarized here now, whatever we have read. Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah.
The consideration of Brahman is immortality, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. It is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the super soul, is the middle. The second stage is transcendental realization. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Personality. The material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature. Hare Krishna.
So there are 3 levels of God realization. First is Brahman, second is Paramatma, and third is Bhagwan realization. And from the inferior energy or the Bahiranga Shakti of Lord Krishna, this material nature has come into existence. The living entities are part of his superior energy, and they are Tatastha energy because they are having elements of both inferior energy as well as superior energy of Lord. Yes, Mataji. Please continue.
That is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a conditioned living entity begins to cultivate spiritual knowledge, elevates himself from the position of material existence, the Brahman conception of the Supreme. The attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position, but Brahman realization is not actually perfect. From the Brahman position, he may gradually rise up to Paramatma realization. Next to the realization of the Supreme Personal Godhead, there are many examples of this in Vedic literature. Hare Krishna.
Please continue. The 4 Kumaras were.
Okay. There are many. The 4 Kumaras were first situated in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth. From there, they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. If unable to elevate beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman, one may fall down. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Raso ve sa, rasam hi evayam labdavanandi bhavati. When one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendently blissful.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So here example of 4 Kumaras, I think everybody will remember the condition that 4 Kumara wanted to see Lord Vishnu, and the Jaya Vijaya, the gatekeepers, they refused, and ultimately they were Brahmavadis. They believed in the Brahman effulgence only. They didn't believe in the Bhagwan feature of God. So ultimately they were refused, and what they cursed those two Jaya and Vijaya, but Lord Vishnu comes, and then they smell the leaf, tulsi leaf at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, and they become, realize that God for feature. So this is how transformation from the stage of Brahmana realization to Paramatma to God realization took place in their heart. Yes, Mataji.
The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an excess of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king. Eternal happiness and eternal life accompany devotional service. The living entity, although Brahman by nature, falls down due to his propensity to lord over the material world. In his constitutional position, a living entity is above the 3 modes of material nature, but association with the material nature entangles him in the different modes of material nature, goodness, patience, and ignorance. Hare Krishna.
So this is it. Our real position is that we are pure soul, but get contaminated by 3 modes of material nature. Accordingly, we start according. Now, the servant of the king enjoys on an almost say equal level with the king. When a person this sentence means that when a person transcends the mode of spiritual nature, realizes, transcends the mode of 3 modes of material nature, and he then realizes the Brahman or the Paramatma, and finally the God form of God realization, then he becomes transcendental. As transcendental as Krishna is. So he assumes all those opulences which Krishna also has in his abode. So such a person who has transcended the 3 modes of material nature reaches Goloka Vrindavan, the abode of Lord Krishna, and then he has same opulences as Lord Krishna. But the quantitatively it is less, much less, very, very insignificant fraction only of what Krishna possesses. But qualitatively they are same. Yes, Mataji.
By engagement in devotional service, he is elevated to the transcendental position. His unlawful desire to control material nature is removed. The process of Navabhidda Bhakti should be practiced in association of the devotees. Through such association and under the guidance of a spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed. He becomes firmly situated in the Lord's transcendental loving service. Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So importance is again given. One sitting Association of devotees and taking shelter of a spiritual master are key factors in progress in devotional service. Otherwise, it is not possible. One may go astray, one may not actually do what is required, or may not understand the intricacies of Krishna science correctly and then act accordingly in the devotional service. Yes, Mataji. The process is continuing, how to obtain the translators. Should eat
the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, visit the places where the Lord has had his transcendental pastimes, read the different activities of the Lord, his reciprocation of love with his devotee. Always chant the transcendentally vibrating Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Observe first on the days commemorating the appearances and disappearances of the Lord and his devotees. Hare Krishna.
So, chanting of Mahamantra, eating prasadam, rendering devotional service, and fasting on these days. So these are the steps or process for transcending three modes of material nature. So, yes, Mataji, this is pictorial summary. Safest position is doing devotional service.
Devotional service is the safest position. It includes all the characteristics of Brahman realization referred to. TU mentions Supreme Personal Godhead is the reservoir of all pleasure. And when one understands this, he actually becomes transcendentally blissful. Supreme Personal Godhead is full of six opulences. When a devotee approaches the Lord, there is excess of six opulences. The realization of Brahman like eternity, imperishability, and ultimate happiness are included in the bhakti.
Summary of chapter 14.
Summary of chapter 14. Living entirety, although Brahman in nature has a desire to lord it over material nature. Desire to enjoy make him fall down. Association with modes makes him desire to dominate the material world in different bodies. How devotional service helps. Transcendental position, his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed. Practicing the 9 processes of devotional service, one thus situated in Brahman conception becomes equal in quality to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Thank you much. So this is a summary of how the process, devotional service safest position. Why? Because it can be, the goal can be achieved in the one single life only. Whereas mystic yogis and jnanis and karmis and Ashtanga yogis, they cannot achieve, they need many, many lives to achieve it. Number one. Secondly, when performs the devotional service, he reaches Brahman stage, then from Brahman realization to Paramatma to God realization. And when there is God realization, there is an exchange of 6 opulences. Just now I mentioned that all the qualities that Lord possesses, they are attained by the devotee. He becomes transcendental to 3 modes. And because Lord is transcendental, so the devotee also becomes, by adopting this process, transcendental to 3 modes of material nature. They assume the same opulences Lord Krishna has, but qualitatively, yes, same, but quantitatively, very, very minute fraction of Krishna. So this is how one can transcend 3 modes of material nature. When one knows, then only one can act. And this knows or this knowledge can come only when we have association of devotees and we follow the instructions of a spiritual master, take shelter of spiritual master. So this is the summary of 3 modes. Now we know how, after reading this chapter, we know why we are forced to do something which we do not desire. Because the 3 modes of material nature, they are dominating, they want to take control of us. But if we know that we are not doing it is because of perforce we are forced to do, then probably we can have a check over what we are doing. So this is the beautiful chapter, and 3 modes of material nature, very well explained. And Arjuna is very intelligent because he is seeking guidance from Lord Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, for the benefit of all of us. So we'll end here. There may not be any questions today because it has already stretched it more than what we should. So Mataji, just say closing prayer, then we'll close today's session. Hare Krishna.
वंशकल्पतरुभ्यः कृपा सिन्धुव एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
Thank you, Mataji.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhar.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasadi Gauravata Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Great. Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji, for your association, and Dhanvat Pranam and Hare Krishna to all of you. So it is a very lovely chapter. So I took too long to cover this chapter, but it is worth it, and we have to know this thing, everything by heart. Thank you for your association. Please fill in the attendance form, all of you, and thank you very much. Hare